What's up, Spotify? Nailed it. And YouTube.
Second week. Nailed it the second week.
I know. Hello, everybody.
I made the mistake of putting something in my mouth to eat before we started.
That's all right. I'll fill. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the This Is Better Than Talking to Your Family edition of the Prestige Reef Dork show. This is a Christmas Eve special. Is it Christmas Eve? It is Christmas Eve. I had to check. I was thinking, the 23rd? Yeah, so Christmas Eve special. Although Ryan and I aren't particularly Christmassy, so there's no Christmas jumpers. There's no Christmas decorations. My door's just opening randomly.
Basically,
but yeah.
If you're watching this live, you not only have reefing in common with the other people in the chat, you also have your disdain for Christmas, because otherwise you'd be with your families right now.
I suspect that is not true.
I don't have a family, and your family doesn't like you, so it's all good.
You do. My family don't like me. You do have a family. They're just abroad at the moment.
I'm like an orphan.
Yeah. But yeah, this was so we weren't going to do this, and then yesterday I was like, you know what? Oh, actually, was it today? Did I text you today?
Can't remember. All I know is that you miss me so much that you could not possibly fathom not talking to me today.
That's not it, guys. That's not it. Yeah, that's completely. Yeah. Just getting withdrawal symptoms. Ryan withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, you felt sorry for me, didn't you?
Took pity on you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was going to call this the "This Is Better Than Talking to Your Wife" edition, but I thought that was a bit too risky.
Well, there's plenty of women that are in the hobby as well.
All right, spouse.
Yeah, there you go. Much better.
Okay. Anyway, so there's no main headline topic today. I was going to do it because I did a video on the Reef Dork Extra channel the other day that was my top five favorite equipment that I bought this year, and I was going to do one on my favorite corals I bought this year. I'll drop a list of 8, but I didn't get around to it, and I don't think I can be bothered with it. And then I was thinking, oh, well, we could do that as the live stream. And then I thought, well, no, I'm not sure I can be bothered with that either. But I'm going to talk through my top 8 corals anyway and tell you what they are. So I'll come to that at some point. But
basically, Alex has done his homework because he knew what we were going to do tonight, whereas I have not done my homework, so I'm just going to wing it. Well,
there is no real homework because the topic is talking about corals. So there we go. What was I going to say? So anyway, tell us what you've been up to this week, Prestige Reef. By the way, this is Ryan from prestigereef.co.uk, the world's best coral selling website.
Everyone knows now anyway. So.
Yeah, I forgot.
But I like Jonathan Stevens' comment, only a single guy is allowed a coral farm in the garden. That is true. That is true. So what have I done this week? So I've got new fish for the water box that are currently in quarantine. I have decided to go with a Royal Grammar. And now I tried quarantining a Royal Grammar.
Really?
Well, I tried quarantining one previously with an Assessor and a Basilit, and there was too much aggression. So that one went to one of my friends. And then I have now got a new one. That one was a tank bred one. This is a new non-tank bred, raised in the wild, tough guy.
Double-R bastard.
Yeah, double-R. Yeah. So I got one of those. And I also have a copper band in quarantine with it, which wasn't going to give it any trouble anyway. And I have also got a jewel tang, which some people know as a mustard tang. So it's one of the more unusual tangs. Considering we don't have a format, that is going to be the fish of the week, by the way.
No, Ryan, don't do fish of the week in the first 5 minutes.
Why?
There's still a format. We just don't have the head. For God's sake. Anyone else want to join me instead?
Okay, so it's now not going to be fish of the week. So if someone else wants to put fish of the week in the comments, yeah, I'll pick one of yours.
Good idea. We'll do so if you're watching live,
we can do chat fish of the week.
Yeah, with fish of the week, and I'll choose the best one.
Yeah,
and we have Whale Shark Man in the house.
Okay, that cannot be the fish of the week.
So you've bought well, it's not a fish for a start. Hang on. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It's a shark. I'm getting confused by the word whale.
It's a good thing you're not like the UK's number one fish YouTuber, isn't it?
Well, funnily, this week I had a comment on one of my videos of someone asking me to show a video of my copper-banded butterfly giving birth.
That is true. That is true.
I was like, there's a lot wrong with that question.
Yeah, I didn't realize when you sent me that. I didn't realize that there is a lot wrong with that question because obviously
Well, I
they
only
lay
had one, and and it's like fish don't, it's not a mammal.
yeah.
But I've just made an equally
Some
stupid
fish
statement
do
myself.
give birth to
Oh,
live.
yeah, but
Some, I think they're mainly sharks that do it. I don't know of any. And do Bangai's cardinals give birth from the mouth? Not sure.
I don't actually know how that works. They must hatch eggs. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, Bangais do hatch eggs. But the female lays the eggs in the male's mouth and then they hatch after 21 days. So is it giving birth when they come out the mouth or not? Who
No,
knows?
it's not.
No?
I don't know if you.
It's just birthing.
I don't know how much you know about human reproduction, Ryan, but that's not how it works. There's a really funny episode of Family Guy when Peter is like, "I always thought that dogs lay eggs." But anyway, so Royal Grammar.
Yes, yes, right. So yes, Royal Grammar. I had a Royal Grammar probably, I don't know, 14 years ago. I don't know if they're how hardy they are. My one didn't survive for whatever reason. I can't remember. But they're one of those fish that is known to be a beginner fish. But as I said, I don't have enough experience to know that for sure. With regards to the other two fish, the copper band is doing brilliantly.
What do you think about Royal Grammars being beginner fish?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I don't think they're that beginner. I don't know why I have that feeling, but I don't think they are. They don't seem to have a high survival rate with people.
That's the thing. I don't think they're not particularly finicky. They're not difficult to get feeding like a copper band or whatever. But I tried to put one in my my Fujifilm Evo when I first set it up.
Yeah.
And I put two in a row. The first one died.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's weird. Okay, maybe it was just a one-off. Put another one in, and that died as well.
That's what
At which point I stopped and I put clownfish in, and they were totally fine.
Yeah.
And they can be quite timid, but these two were on their own.
Yeah.
And I have had Bangai's Royal Grammars die like years down the line.
Yeah.
But so before getting as old as they should have been, but not straight away. But I'm not convinced there's nothing wrong with them, but they're not like a super hardy. Yeah, that's your first fish nailed on. I wouldn't say.
No, but I think they are sold to people as that though. I think they have this reputation of being a good beginner fish, and in my opinion, I don't think they are. So I thought I'd try one again just to see what it's like. The copper band I've been incredibly impressed with. And now we obviously had a little discussion before the stream started.
Don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Okay, right. I have a theory, and it's that I'm not going to say it. Okay, look, copper bands are not as hard as people think they are. They just aren't. However, that also applies to lots of other things. For example, a mandarin is not hard, providing it's constantly kept in like a feeding station that grows copepods. If you see what I mean. If it had an unlimited supply of copepods, they're not a hard fish to keep alive. It's the feeding specifically for them.
Yeah.
And you're like, where am I going with this?
No, I'm like that's. I think that's an oxymoron, because if you're saying they're not hard if you've got a constant supply of copepods, but no one does have.
Yeah, but if you did, then it's not hard.
But it's like saying
okay. Let's use seahorse as an example. People keep
saying I could live on the sun; it wouldn't be that hot if it was colder.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, let's use seahorse as an example because that's an easier one to do. I think so. No one would put a seahorse in an SPS tank because it's well known that you do not put seahorses in an SPS tank. There's too much flow. The fish are too aggressive generally. So no one will try it. And if you did try it, you would have a very, very low success rate. There will be one person who will be able to keep them alive probably. Because they've got some sort of like macho seahorse, which is fine. But it has now been generally accepted that you have seahorses in a tank separate. Copper bands need to be kept in a tank that basically has no aggression. If you have a tank that has no aggression, I personally believe that they are not that difficult to keep anymore.
You're basing this on the fact that you've had a copper band in quarantine for a week.
No, I'm basing this on the fact that I have had loads of copper bands. Most of them has been okay. There was an issue, obviously, with regards to feeding them recently. And that was where I basically underfed them for a period of time without realizing. They must have been right on the verge of what is acceptable for them to eat. If you can get them feeding and you can feed them a lot and there's no aggressive fish.
And the exact right type of food, because you swapped from one mysis to a different mysis.
Yes, that's true. That is
so
true.
You've just said they're not that hard as long as, and then listed like 35 things that are difficult to achieve.
Okay, most people see them as an absolutely impossible fish to keep alive.
Right.
They have that reputation.
Yeah.
How many of them do I have?
Well, I don't know. How many do you have? Tell me.
7, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 7.
Maybe how long have they been? How long you had them for?
My longest one, probably like 7 years, I reckon.
That's not bad. I give you.
Yeah,
that. But you're not a beginner.
No, true. What I'm saying, this isn't encouraging people to go and buy these fish.
That's why I'm fighting back.
This is saying only buy these fish if you have a very, very, very peaceful tank, is what I'm trying to say.
But even then, my tank was pretty peaceful.
Yeah, but did it have any... When you introduced the copper band, was there any aggression towards it?
Other copper bands I put in, yes, and I got rid of my purple tang because of that. But apart from that, no. And my coal tang is the only fish that can be aggressive, and he's generally actually pretty fine. And he was never aggressive towards the copper band.
See, copper bands, they do seem to lose weight if you don't feed them. They lose it relatively quickly. But I've also found that if you overfeed them, they put it back on pretty quickly as well. And I wonder, that's what I actually think probably happened with your one. I don't know.
What do you mean? He was underfed?
Do you think that is
a problem? Yeah. So yeah, 100%, and probably the wrong food as well.
So what was it eating?
Just mysis, frozen mysis. That's it.
I
ended up going down to 2 cubes a day.
Yeah,
which probably isn't enough because my phosphate was quite high. I was trying to back off.
How long did you keep it for?
2 years.
So you had it for 2 years, and it lived completely fine for 2 years. You changed the feeding, and it died.
But I don't think I don't know. I can't remember the point at which I changed feeding.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I don't think it was. I couldn't tell you if I might have even changed feeding after. I'm pretty sure, in fact, I changed feeding after, and I reduced feeding after it. That's ringing a bell now. But I don't remember it 6 months ago. But...
I think it's one of those fish that the reason I'm telling the people is not to encourage people to get them, but if you are stupid enough, like me, to get them, make sure you do the right thing, is what I'm trying to say to people. So, when are you getting your next one? I've got a nice one in quarantine for you right now. It's 5 times the price of a normal one because I'm quarantining it, and I'm going to sign Prestige Reef on the side.
I don't know if I ever will get another one. I might do. To be fair, if my tank was overrun with Aptasia, I'd probably get one. But it's not. I'm just going to interrupt the Copperman chat to answer Luke Allen's question, who says, "Is it safe to buy bulk calcium hydroxide to use as cheaper refill for a CO2 scrubber?" You can actually get pellets. It is calcium hydroxide. I can't remember what it's called, but you can get CO2 scrubber pellets, bulk. I don't think you'd want to use the powder for that purpose at all. But yeah, you can absolutely get bulk CO2 removing pellets. I can't remember what they call it, but you can get those stuff because if you buy, is it ATI who sell? I think there are a couple of brands, Seachem maybe, who sell CO2 scrubbing kits, and it's really expensive. But if you buy the stuff separately from a bulk pharmaceutical company, then yeah, it's the exact same stuff, and it's cheaper. You're saving reef tax. Copper bands.
The reason I thought about this, and I know you just went, you've based this on having a fish in quarantine for a week, is because the behavior of the fish in quarantine is so different to the behavior of fish when they go in the tank. Yeah. So it was in there. You put the food in, it eats immediately. It's not terrified of any of the other tank mates. It's like swimming around like it's the boss of the tank. Now, if you put that in with a load of tanks, it gets attacked, it stops eating, it loses weight. Even when it starts eating after losing weight, it's more difficult to build momentum again, and it just doesn't do well. So I like to
people do say that isolating a copper band in quarantine is the best way because it gets them feeding and exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So I just when I bought the copper band, there was actually another couple there who was also buying a copper band as well, and they said to me, "Have you got any advice with this?" And I'm like, "You need to sit down. Firstly, don't buy it. But if you are going to buy it, because they already had it bagged up, these are the things you need to do." Now, this couple had a tank with tangs in it, so they hadn't actually like. I don't think they put a huge amount of thought into this process. I think they just wanted a copper band.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still plenty of people that are out there buying them, which is fine, providing you give it the best chance to survive. I don't mind people buying them as long as they're doing the right thing. If you're not giving it the best chance to survive, you might as well just not buy it.
You might as well just buy it and throw it in the bin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With regards to the last fish, the jewel tang, I just thought it's an unusual tang. Do you want to bring it up on the screen so people can see it?
Ah, God. All right. Well,
because Alex a minute ago said it was ugly.
Did I?
Yep. I know you said it was boring or something as it gets older.
Oh, no. Because I think I must have been confusing it with another fish.
Tang.
I thought it got boring when it got. No, I don't think so. But to be fair, I am looking at a couple of them, which I'll bring up the screen, entire screen share, that do look a bit faded. So maybe that's what I'm thinking. But I don't know. But I think they're cool. Yeah. I thought they got boring when they got older. Now, I'm sure they look much cooler when they're younger. Maybe it's just slightly less cool when they're older. Anyway, whatever.
But no, the reason I picked that fish anyway is because I like the contrast in color. So the king eye has like orange and black stripes, like a tiger, and these have black and white stripes, like a zebra. So I just thought that would be a cool comparison to have swimming around with each other. If I like it long term, don't know, but we will because it's not one of those super colorful fish. It's one of those fish which is a bit rarer to see, which is why it has the appeal to me.
Are they expensive?
I think between 250 and 300 pounds. I think
Kraken corals have one for 275 quid. In fact, oh no, that's a gem tank. But yeah, 200 to 300 quid. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
as expensive. Waterzoo.co.uk, I've never heard of.
Me either.
Does have one in stock for 175 quid.
There you go, bargain.
And they're based in Peterborough. So
look at the advertising they're currently getting.
Yeah, I'll send them a bill. Don't you worry about that. Yeah. But that's interesting. Waterzoo. I love it when you find companies, fish shops, aquatic fish shops, saltwater fish shops that you've never heard of before. Obviously, I don't live near Peterborough, so I'm not about to go there. But that's cool. Waterzoo. Any of you guys live near Waterzoo? Any of you Midlanders been to Waterzoo? Let us know what it's like.
We've not had one person who's put in the fish of the week suggestion. Don't think yet.
There were a few.
Oh, there?
Missed them. Oh, there was a bit of follow up on, and it was soda lime is the stuff that you get box soda lime, and the reason that you want to use that is because it changes from like white to purple or whatever when it's spent when it's full of CO2. Whereas if you just use kalkwasser, there's 1,000 reasons you wouldn't want to do that, but it doesn't indicate when it needs changing.
I've just realized why everyone was commenting fish names now, because I saw earlier I was like, why is everyone commenting fish names?
Yeah.
I was too busy mid talking. So but yes. Anyway, how has your week in reefing been?
All these big aquariums, says Polymate 3D. I'm just going to interrupt you. I'm working on the design phase of a 2.5 litre, 3/4 of a US gallon reef aquarium. Lots of 3D printing involved, including the pump. A pump? Any 3D printing a pump? That's weird. 2.5 litres. That's a terrible idea. Sorry.
You don't realize I'm pretty sure that's advertising for them. So he's gone, this is what I'm building, and you went, that's a terrible idea.
Well, I suppose, yeah, sorry. But the 2.5 litre tank. Oh, it's like that little I think it was it a litre? It's about 800 millilitres.
You had one, didn't you?
It was awful. Yeah, I bought it to keep that Mahano anemone.
Yeah.
And it was it was an absolute nightmare. Salinity was all over the place. Temperature was up and down like 10 degrees a day. It was terrible.
When I read that comment, I thought to myself, if you've come here to advertise your new tank, you have come to the wrong place, because I hate small tanks.
Yeah, the PNW tank, PNW custom, that's even worse, because the one I bought was off AliExpress and it was 40 quid.
Yeah.
which is bad enough. But the P&W one, I think, is like $400 or something crazy. It does look very smart. I'll give them that. But and
$400.
I know, for a tiny, and it's really well made. It's like nicely put together. And
It's a
and
gimmick.
the one is a complete gimmick, and the one they've got in their shop actually looks quite healthy. But I guarantee, or I don't guarantee, I'd be amazed if they're not doing 100% water changes or 50% water changes a day.
Yeah.
Because that's a pain. I even found cleaning algae was really difficult off the glass.
Yeah.
Because how do you get a 2 centimeter algae scraper?
It's not just that. When I remember having a nano tank, this is one of the things I hated about having a nano tank. I would put my hand in, and then the water would overflow, because as you're like cleaning, like you're creating waves, and then it's like dripping down the sides of the tank. So that's another reason I hate nano tanks.
Yeah. And Polymates says his brand is speakers. Yeah. He's working on the heating cooling side. Oh, insulation. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. Microcontrol.
So if anyone wants speakers, go to Polymate.
Yeah. Speakers. Heating. Temperature was always going to be an issue, but it was a huge issue. It was like unbelievable. But the thing that surprised me was how up and down salinity was. Because if you get like on the one I had, you got a bit of salt creep at the top of it. Had a sump, which is hilarious, but at the top where the sump meets the tank, the display tank, you got a little bit of salt creep.
You might as well just not have the sump.
Yeah, I think it was just you probably just take it offline. To be fair, it was just I think it was just because. Well, actually, I put some Ziprax in there, but it was what was I going to say? So it was you've got a tiny bit of salt creep. And of course, that means that that salt is no longer in the water.
Yeah, true.
And it fluctuates. I found the salinity. I can't remember the exact numbers, but the salinity was all over the place, which I suppose I should have been expecting, but I wasn't expecting it to be that. The challenge I was expecting was temperature, and I thought I might have to keep on top of evaporation. But salt creep didn't occur to me as the thing that was going to be the major problem. But that time, I kept a Mahano anemone in there. Or actually, I got once I'd put one in, I thought it was cool. So I knew someone who had a few of them. So I got like a rock covered in them. I put about half a dozen in there, and they were all. And these are Mahanos. You know what? You've kept Aptasia. You found Aptasia in a sink that's
true.
Basically brackish water, fresh water, with temperature down really low. These things, that even the Mahanos in this tank, they were on the verge of death at all times. It was a terrible tank.
So if anyone's struggling with them, you know how to solve that problem now.
Throw it away.
Oh no, not the tank. I'm talking about the anemone.
Yeah, we'll put it in the sink.
You have to make it an inhospitable environment, and then it will die.
Talk about an inhospitable environment. This is solely a thing. Sorry, I feel like I'm now having a go at Polymate. I'm not. This is solely a side thing. Yeah. Cool. And report back. Let us know how you get on with it. But this is like I've had trauma from this tank. It was I hated it. I thought I had visions of it being. It was always going to be difficult. But I thought with a Mahano, I was like, it's a Mahano. How hard can it be? And I thought it might be fine, and it might actually end up looking quite cool. I was mistaken. But that was a third the size of this guy's tank. But anyway, so how have I been? Ryan says. And someone said, by the way, Water Zoo is a good shop in the chat.
There you
go. What have I been up to? So I've been making a couple of Reef Dork extra videos, which is unusual for me.
Yeah.
Because I did go through a stage of doing them quite often, and then I've not made one for about 3 or 4 months, but I've got 2 now. So I did one the other day, and I've got one that's going to go. It's scheduled for next Friday. So,
are you going to tell us what they are, or are you just telling us you've made a video?
Well, the one that was on Friday was the top 5 equipment of the year.
Okay.
And the one that's coming up, I'm not going to say, because I'm interested to see how it lands. I've told you what it is. Sent you a screenshot of the of the title the other day and said, I said, this but it's if you
I'm just have a quick look to see if to remind myself. I can't remember what it was.
I've actually tinkered with the title slightly, but I feel like it might be a controversial one, but it's not intended that way. I actually think it's just it's about equipment. As
Definitely controversial.
I think it's that the title potentially, but I think it's a balanced and helpful video.
How clickbaity is it?
It's a little bit clickbaity, but it's
Because
not
when I read it, I was like, if this is as it appears, you might upset some people.
The title relates exactly to what yes. The title is relevant, is what I say in the video.
So could you upset some people?
Maybe, but I hope not, because it's the same things I say whenever I make a review. Yeah. I always give balanced. Even when I've been given stuff for free, I give balance. I give the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
And manufacturers don't get upset when I say that, and I'm saying the same thing in this. I'll tell you generally about it. I'm generalizing as to what manufacturers do well and not so well. So every single manufacturer in the hobby is really good at some things and pretty crappy at others. So GHL is the best example. Their hardware is class leading. It's fantastic. If you value hardware, they are the company for you. But their software is pretty unintuitive. So it's very complicated. And and they're a great example. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
It just means that if you value ease of use and you're used to like iPhones and all this sort of stuff, they're probably not the right company for you. If you're prepared to sit down, read the instruction manual, get used to it, then it's worth it in the long run. So it's not a reason not to buy it. It's just I'm just telling you what they do well and what they don't do well. And it's the same for every reefing company in the hobby, every company in the world. Like if you buy a Ferrari, they are really cool. They sound awesome. They're fast. But you want to go to the airport with 2 large bags, they're crap at that. So this video is just talking about five of the biggest companies in the hobby and what I think they do well and not so well. And I don't think well, I do wonder how it's going to land. I'm a tiny bit worried. Not worried, but
you just reminded me of what you said about the Ferrari a second ago.
Yeah.
Remember how you encouraged me to buy that car for a period of time? You know how I had always had an estate? I went to go pick up a table. 2 little tables from John Lewis I went to pick up. They couldn't fit them in the boat. And I was like, oh, so this is the sacrifice I've made.
Just to clarify, you didn't buy a Ferrari, did you?
I did not buy a Ferrari, no.
You bought a coupe car, which is impractical. Yeah, that's I had a convertible for a couple of years, and it was. Oh yeah,
like, I can imagine you'd look very good in a convertible. Although I imagine that when the
wind in my hair,
no, your toupee flies off, doesn't it? When you're
like I wear a toupee, but no, it was just really impractical. But it was cool. But you're finding the same.
Yes, it's definitely. I find the host hard to follow. Ow!
I like that surprised you.
Which bit?
That you bought a coupe and then you picked up a table and it wouldn't fit.
It was a small side table.
Yeah, but okay.
You can wait, Jonathan. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about me or Alex? I don't think either of us are reading from a card.
You can tell he's reading from a card. I'm not reading from a card. I look down to see the comments. So the comments, the chat is over here. So and I often look at the chat because I try to keep an eye and see if anyone says something that's worth talking about or I really want to answer whatever. But
if you're talking, BRS. Oh,
I see. Right.
Yeah, of course they're reading from a card. I think it looks they give so much professional information.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder what this is about specifically, like because that's not just generally BRS. Anyway,
the reason for the confusion is because it specifically says Ryan talks a bit quick, and my name is Ryan as well. So that's why there's some confusion.
Yeah. I feel like we've hammered BRS a few times lately.
No, as in maybe, but I don't think we've said anything.
No, absolutely no. But I feel like we've been a little bit critical, fairly and not unfairly. But I don't want to I don't want to pan them every week because Ryan in particular, in my opinion, has done more than anybody else in the hobby in the last 10 years. No one has done more than him.
I like BRS's videos usually. I just so
but anyway. But they've just become they've become a little bit less popular, certainly since the Aperture. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, now I'm talking about it. So anyway, week in reefing. So I had a Banggai Cardinal die today.
Really? It was in the mail.
I couldn't tell you, to be honest. You can tell the difference between them, but I don't know how to. Apparently there's 2 little things, nodules on their underside, of the male or female.
The other day, you said that your male was holding eggs, didn't you?
Correct.
So he's probably starved.
That's what I think. So because I don't feed that tank massively,
Yeah.
and he's been doing that. He's done that a few times in the last
That's what
6 months.
Yeah.
Exactly, probably a few times. And I bet that because if you go 21 days or 28 days, whatever, without food, I'm sure you can pull through that. But if you keep doing it again and again and again, it's not good.
So you're actually meant to separate them. If they breed regularly,
interesting.
You're either meant to separate them or the
Why didn't you tell me that before? Don't tell me now.
I didn't know this was something they've been doing over and over again. The other thing that you can do if you don't want to separate them, if you catch the male, he will spit the eggs out, and then the female will take another 3 weeks or something before she's ready to lay again. So it's if you think about it, their instincts are what doesn't help them with this. Because I'm pretty sure it takes 3 weeks for the babies to hatch, and every 4 weeks she's ready to go. So he's got like a week to recover, something like that.
Yeah, but I bet that's exactly what I was thinking, and I just found him such a powerhead. And I was like, oh no. When I first saw it, I just looked across. I was sat here, I looked across, saw it stuck to a powerhead, and I was like, no, it's my fox face. And so I was actually.
I know you're terrible with fish identification.
I know, yeah.
Fox face is pretty radically different.
All I could just see the front of its face, basically. So there was a black and white stripe, and I thought that was his nose. But no. So I would rather it be the Bangai than the fox face, because I really like the fox. But it's still, obviously, it's a shame, and especially when I've not had them that long, probably a year. So that was a shame. But yeah, interesting. I did have I had a pair of the flame scooter blennies. Had a pair of those in my main tank. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Really cool looking fish, and they used to do that little mating dance all the time. So have you seen it?
Is that the way they spin around?
Yeah. They go really slowly and float towards the surface, spinning and doing this display next to each other. And then when they get to the shop, they both shoot down and they release their eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to watch. But I found that the female got egg bound and she died.
Yeah.
And so I think probably fish breeding, certain fish breeding in a home aquarium isn't necessarily good for them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't keep a pair of scooters or mandarins or whatever again because of that, because I'd rather keep one. I'd rather take away that risk.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I had a Bangai cardinal die, which was sad. But I wrote that down as Bang Die Cardinal, which I thought was not a reasonable pun. No, all right, fine.
No, terrible. Terrible. We don't make jokes about fish deaths.
I know. It's my way of dealing with it. And I've 3D printed. This is not stuff I'm selling, but I've got this a design off Printables, which is like a library for 3D printed stuff.
Yeah,
and it's this it's a rack for my cabinet door. I can keep nets and hoses, all that sort of stuff on. You're looking confused.
By this point, I just think people are just thinking of new things to 3D print just for the sake of using their printer.
Absolutely, that's what you do.
It's do I need that? No, but I can print it.
I can print it, so sod it. I was really pleased with that. But I've not actually found. So I've got a couple of little boxes that now sit in my my cabinet door that I can store stuff in. I've not worked out what I'm going to use it for yet. So it was very much why don't I print that? What else? And then so the other video I was going to talk about I was going to do a third Reef Dork extra video, which was top 8 corals of the year.
Yeah.
But I just when I'd done 2, I was like, oh, I can't be bothered to do another one. It's been quite intense, so I backed off and I didn't do it. But I'm going to talk you through my top 8 corals anyway. Before I do that, though, the other thing I've had this year, I've had cyanobacteria on my I
am listening. I'm just getting a call from Australia. So
oh right, from your parents.
Yeah. It's obviously Christmas morning there, so I'm assuming that's.
Do you want to take it?
No. No.
Yeah.
On
so this is definitely.
There you go.
This is better than talking to your family live stream.
There you go.
We've got actual proof.
I've literally replied on a live stream. Oh no, I've sent that to you, haven't I?
Sent it to me. Yeah. That's hilarious.
So 1 second. So at least I'm telling the truth. That's what I wrote.
I've not seen it, but anyway, what was I going to say? So yeah, I was going to do that 8 that top. Oh no, cyano. cyanobacteria. So I've had cyanobacteria in my cade for ages.
Yeah.
And it's almost completely gone now. I've said it's been going. I'm
Yeah.
now at the point where I'm 100% confident that it's on its way out and it's not going to come back.
Yeah.
Because it's just sort of withering away and be like, eh.
I used ChemiClean in the water box to get rid of the cyano,
Oh,
and
yes.
it disappeared in like 2 days, which is how it's meant to work, which is great. I have not been able to use my protein skimmer for about 2 weeks now because it just overflows. So, and there's nothing like gradually. I've now got to the stage where I'm adding water and draining the skimmer into a bucket. So it's like doing a water change that way.
Wow.
And
Okay.
the amount of bubbles that are coming out is slowing down. So before it was like crazy, where it was just fill the whole like sump up with bubbles. Now it's just like this little tiny drip of bubbles which are overflowing. So it is getting better. But
well, that's the thing I found was because I did it, and it says that I can't remember what the instructions say, but they say your skimmer will overflow for 48 hours or a week or something.
yeah.
I found it carried on for a lot longer than that.
Yes,
I think you're supposed to do a 50% water change, which I did.
25, I think, or 20.
25%, whatever. It was years ago I did it, but whatever I did, I followed all that, and it's still my skimmer overflowed for ages after that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't have a skimmer in the cade. So
yeah, I've just not been able to use it basically. So
yeah, okay. So, but that's so the reason that I don't do that. One of the reasons I don't want to get rid of use ChemiClean is because there's probably an underlying problem. So if it might kill it, but if you don't not solving the underlying problem, but you've that your nutrients, what are they like? Are they balanced out, and how are they?
So the nitrate seems to be going up and down. I got up to 10 and then it dropped down to like 1 again. So, and then I've started dosing again. So it was at 5. So they are going up and down a little bit. And the phosphates are like 0.04. So it seems to be nitrate, which is the one I'm having more difficult keeping stable.
Okay. What was I going to ask? Oh, so how's the water box doing generally?
Still has diatoms. You obviously saw it the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the problem is, as I said, now I'm starting doing the water changes again with the protein skimmer, and I've been doing that since the day you left, which I think was on Tuesday. You came, didn't you?
Monday.
Yeah. So every single day, I've probably taken like 30 liters out and put 30 liters back in, and I don't know if that's making it worse or better, because obviously, if the silicates are coming from the barrel, it's going to make the situation worse. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted the skimmer working again, I'm not even sure why I wanted the skimmer working. If you think about it, you don't, if your nutrient levels are low, you don't need a skimmer. But there's something that just feels good about the skimmer running, isn't there?
That's the thing. I think, I think I was thinking today. So one video I am going to make is lessons I've learned from setting up the Reef Casa tank. Because I've learned a few things from setting that tank up actually. And I was trying to think what I would do if I was setting up a tank today, like a big tank, not just a nano tank. And I was thinking specifically about whether I would set up a skimmer or a filter roller from day one.
Yeah.
And I think I always have done, certainly a skimmer. I just like having them.
They don't work on day one though, usually, because obviously there's nothing in the water for them to take out.
No, but yeah, I don't know. It's probably just a comfort blanket.
One of my customers came to the farm because you mentioned about having a big tank. One of my customers came to the farm, I think 2 days ago, and he went, "Oh, so is Reef Dork gonna get a new tank then?" And I went, "Nah, he just likes to talk about it."
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think it's going to happen. But
you think it's going to happen or isn't?
It will happen. Just a matter of when. Within the next 12 months, definitely. Beyond that, can't tell you. I looked at the I did, because I took I've had it for the last couple of weeks. I've had a mimic filefish in my sump, who's been waiting to go into the Reef Casa. He went into the Reef Casa yesterday, and I think I said before, I can't turn my return pump off to take top down photos, because if I do that, the sump will rise and he'll escape and go wherever he wants. But now I've been able to do that. So I did that yesterday and took some. I meant to do that tonight as well. I took a load of photos, and I looked at I've got a frag rack in the corner where I fragged 8 of my favorite acros, and they're all settled now and looking really nice. So when your tank is ready, which might be a month, it might be 6 months, it might be a day.
Yeah.
When your tank is ready, when
It
you
won't be a day.
let me know and you can have them because they're looking good. They're small, to be fair, but
Yeah. No, but like, I'm just grateful to have anything, if I'm honest. But I don't want to take anything if I'm not certain it's going to be okay. Now, obviously, you saw the other corals and they're encrusting, and even the acro you got me. That's the other thing that people have been asking. They're like, "Oh, Alex said he was going to bring you a coral. What coral did he bring you?" I'm like, "Why are people interested?" But apparently they are. So Alex bought me an acro. It's sort of like it's green and creamy color, really, isn't it? Is that right?
yeah, when I sell fragments, I call it teal in cream, but
Yeah.
it's like a light green, and
Yeah, but who knows what color it really is? Because other times I've had acros from you, I've fixed them, haven't I?
fixed them,
Fixed
broken them.
Yeah,
Yeah, you had a really nice blue with tinges of green one for me that you changed into a green one.
not quite. It was actually all blue with no tinges of green, and then it turned green with blue tips.
Oh,
So
okay.
it basically turned into an Oregon tort. So
Yeah. Which I think is what it was actually.
yeah,
But it definitely didn't look like that in my tank.
not even remotely.
And I had it long term. It was a colony. It was a big colony, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was massive. It was massive. That was where all the Asterias snuck in from.
Yeah, you're welcome. There was a post on the Facebook group this week about I was going to bring it up, but I forgot to preload it. Someone posted an Asterina, a starfish, next to a photo of a skeleton of an acan, saying they caught it eating it.
Yeah,
and ultimately, if that was me in that position, I would do the same. Be like, I don't want Asterinas anymore. But I looked at that and I was like, I bet that's not the Asterina.
It's the same as with things like catalophilias, where they'll have a fish inside them. Now, so imagine if you've got
a big swim into the middle of the tank and catch the fish, or
well, think about this. Think about it at the moment. Like, if in the same regard, that means that powerheads also are the things that kill most fish. When in reality, the dead fish just gets sucked into the powerhead because it's no longer swimming.
The bang guy was stuck to the powerhead.
So your bang guy, if you found that in the catalophily, you'd then go, that killed it. But the reality is the bang guy died of something else, and then the fish just caught it. And the coral just caught it.
It's slightly different because on the Facebook group there was I think he'd said he'd seen the Asterina crawling over the coral, and I got the impression that he'd sort of seen it eating. Always, I don't know. And ultimately, if that's you and that's your truth, then you should absolutely you should do what you need to do. But I reckon
I did have one question with that picture.
Yeah, what was that?
So the acan was completely dead, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It would take a long time for an Asteria to kill that acan.
Yeah, so a lot of people have said before. I've seen this discussion before on Ultimate Reef, and a lot of people will point out, they're like, "Have you seen the size of an Astrian starfish? They've got a small stomach. There's no way they're going to consume all that flesh."
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
if it had consumed it over the course of like 2 weeks, and he just ignored it being on there, then by all means, maybe. Or but if it died overnight and the Asteria was there, that Asteria did not eat that coral.
Yeah.
They do, however, bother zoas. I know that for certain.
They can.
Not all zoas, some zoas.
Okay.
They sit on them for some reason. I don't know what they're doing, but they literally sit on them so they don't. If there's a zoa polyp that doesn't open, you can literally put your fingers on it and pull the Asterian starfish off, and the next day it'll be open again.
Okay. So I've got loads of those in my tank, and even more Asterinas, and
true.
They're always fine. And actually, I was going to introduce Asterinas into the reef casser.
No, you weren't.
I will. I probably will at some point. I don't know if I'll do it before. I've got one more video to make in a series, and I don't think I'll do it in the video series because I don't want to encourage that behavior generally, because I think that video series will be watched by beginners a lot. And I don't think I want to tell beginners to introduce Asterinas, although actually I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. But I probably want them. But I probably will, because they're good cleanup crew.
They're ugly, and they go all over the glass.
No, scrape them off.
Oh, no.
But anyway, there was what was I going to say? So someone did post a comment, and I was replying. But he was asking about filter roll. He asked me what filter roll I've got. I got 3. I've got 3 tanks. Well, 4 tanks. I've got three main tanks, and I've got a Clarity, a water box, and a Red Sea. And the question is, which do you prefer? That's a really difficult question to answer. This is actually exactly the sort of thing that my video that's on the Reef Dork Extra channel this Friday is talking about, because the Red Sea one is bloody massive, takes up a load of space, but it's brilliant. Really well thought through, really clever design, really easy roll change mechanism.
That's what I like.
Yeah. The Clarity, slightly more difficult roll change mechanism, much smaller though, and really basic. I love that it's really simple. It doesn't have an app. It doesn't have it. It's just got a motor and a float valve. That's it. It's just simple and it works. It just does its job well. So there's a lot to like about that. And my Clarity, the Clarity roll, used part of the Clarity roll is darker than the used part of my refactor in my Red Sea roll, which I think probably it could. I mean, it's 3 different tanks, so it's, you know,
They'll have
it could
different
mean
micron
nothing.
sizes.
But exactly, I think that means that it pulls out more crud because it's got a different micron, whatever. But the refactory one is almost, I think the roll change mechanism, way of changing roll is maybe even easier than the Red Sea, and it's much smaller.
Okay.
But they're all good. The honest answer is they're all good. I think the Clarity, in my experience, and this is a test that isn't very scientific at all, because I'm comparing 3 different tanks that I feed differently. I have different fish, different bioloads, all this sort of stuff. But the way I look at it is that the Clarity pulls out the most crap.
Yeah.
And the other 2 have got other benefits. So it depends what you want it for. Because the Clarity, I think the refactory is the best for water clarity, I think.
Yeah.
And the Clarity is best for filtration. What you say?
I've just realized something.
What's
Do you remember when I posted a picture of like what the Red Sea one's pulling out? And you replied with another picture going, that's not how it's done. This is how it's done. You picked a different type of roller mat. You didn't compare your Red Sea to my Red Sea, I don't think.
No, I didn't. No, I compared Red Seas to Red Sea.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go back and check.
I was because when I was listening to that, I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
I just realized he's probably picked one that has a smaller micron size, which means it's more brown.
My good name is being besmirched, people.
Wow.
So we're gonna have to interrupt this. Oh, no, it's a Clarity.
I knew it was a different one.
Oh no.
I remember seeing it going, that's a different filter to my one.
What did you say though? Did you said brown enough for you, Reef Dork?
Yes, but you didn't compare.
I wasn't comparing Red Seas, to be fair. And I think we'd been talking about brownness of filter roller.
Yeah, we were. But what I've just realized is that in theory they should be all equally the same level of brown to each other. It's just they have different micron sizes.
Yeah.
So
no, I can't be bothered to show you. But yeah, I think they're all slightly different. I don't know which is best for the way I look at it. The way I don't think I'd ever make a video saying this, because I don't actually know if it's right or not.
Yeah.
But the way I think, and what I would tell myself if I was going through and buying one, is the refactory one is best for water clarity. But it doesn't put out as much nutrients. It's not as good a filter as the Clarity. Whether that's true or not, I've got no idea. But that's the way I look at it. And that might be a good thing. So you might not want it to put out nitrate and phosphate, in which case get the refactory.
I think, I don't know which one has, I would assume the Red Sea has a larger micron size, and I think they did that so you go through less of the roll. I think that was why it was done, for a specific reason. But
the thing, so I asked them about that, and they said it's a material that you don't measure in microns. And it's basically, but then that's like, you couldn't pin them down, and it's annoying, because I wish all companies would just use the same measurement so you could compare them. But the one thing I did find that is an exact fair comparison was I bought a reef mat, because they gave me the first one for my main tank, and I liked it so much that I bought one for the water box. But the water box is a small tank, and it took up 90% of the sump. So I kept that for, I don't know, 6 months, and I got through one roll, and then I replaced that with a refactory one, which was much smaller, much more suitable for a small tank. And after 6 months, I found that they went through a roll the exact same amount of time. So they both lasted about 6 months. If anything, the refactory slightly longer. But that tells me that they were fairly similar, because that was on the same tank, feeding the same roughly. So that's as close as I can do to a scientific comparison. But the answer is they're all actually really good. And I don't think there's any now that I would say you don't want to buy that. It's rubbish.
Basically, you just don't want filter socks.
No, exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. The only one. Yeah, completely. They're just the clarity is quite basic, and if you want an app and you want to control how much roll changes and all that sort of stuff that rolls around, which you don't need to, then you don't want the clarity. But the clarity is really good because it's basic, and there's no messing around with, do I want it to move forward by 5 centimeters or 2 centimeters? It just works.
Which is the one that you think the roll is easiest to change on?
Either the Red Sea or the Reef Factory. But
as far as I'm concerned, that's sold it for me. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about micron size. I don't care about how much roll goes through. If it's not easy to change, I'm not doing it, and it's as simple as that. So there's no point in me having it.
Fair enough. And the really good thing about the Red Sea and the Reef Factory ones is the bit that gets clogged, the water goes through.
Yeah.
That bit you pull out when you change the roll.
Yeah.
And so you can just run it under the tap. Whereas in the Clarity, you would have to actually unscrew it. And I've had that Clarity one clog with baby snails before.
Yeah.
And then it stops working. It's bloody annoying. So I think because that's an older design, the newer ones, the Red Sea and the Reef Factory, they're a bit, they've put more thought into it. Especially Red Sea, they put a lot of thought into it. Anyway,
in answer to the question, buy Red Sea one.
Well, they're all good. There's none that is. But anyway, whatever. We've been talking about filter rollers for the last 2 hours. So, and amazingly, you've been talking about equipment, and you only just started to suppress a yawn in the last.
I know. I wondered if you noticed me. Yeah, but I was also distracted. I'm replying to text messages. Okay. So whenever you're talking about equipment, I'm like, oh, what else can I do with my mind?
Shall I talk through the top 8 corals of the year? Yeah, I'm going to. I wanted what I wanted to do was get a photo of each of them, but I didn't have time, and I only thought about it when you joined.
Okay, what we'll do? You give me your top 8 corals, and I'm going to slate them. I'm going to tell you why they're not the top 8 corals.
Okay, all right.
We have different opinions of corals and fish and everything, so I'm just interested.
Okay, fine. Top 8. All right. In that case, number 1, bubble tip anemone I got from Prestige Reef.
That's not a coral for a start.
I know, I'm cheating. In fact, that's the only one that isn't a coral on this list. But
so that's actually on your list. Nice.
Genuinely was. Yeah, that's the top of my list. It's not necessarily number 1, but so I bought. To be fair, it's not just the one I got from you. I've got 2. I got one from a vendor. Yeah. Just a shop, basically.
Yeah, a dodgy one though. Yeah,
it was really nice, and then you gave me one, as it were, and you gave. Oh no, you gave me 2. Yeah, I've got bad news.
Well, okay, you've now got 1. Okay,
I've now got 1. So actually, that's the thing. So it is true what these are my first bubble tip anemones, and it is true what they say. Of course, a part of the reason I've avoided getting bubble tips before is because they roam and they're a pain in the arse and all that, and they do. The first one I bought, I came down at 5 in the morning. I woke up at 5 in the morning one day. Happened to walk in because it's in the cage. I walked in this room, and it was hanging onto to one of my corals by a thread. And it just released itself and floating in the middle of the tank. I was like, what the hell's going on? So that did that. And then the 2 I got from you, I put them in place. And what you're supposed to do with a bubble tip anemone is you put it in place, you let it with all the flow off, and you just let it sit on a rock or a ledge or something or a crevice, so it can sit there with all the flow off completely still, so it can attach its foot. And I've done that with rock flower anemones in the past before. I've had loads of rock flower anemones, just never a bubble tip. So I did that, and one of them was like, wicked, I've got my foot, no problem. The other one didn't do that.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it did at first. It looked like it had done. I went away, came back a couple of hours later, and it had been mulched. There were bits floating around in the middle of the water column. So it had obviously got chewed up in a power head.
Yeah.
So one of them, for whatever reason, was just like, nah, not having it.
Well, you're happy with the surviving one.
Really nice. It's really nice. So it's
really bright, isn't it?
Really bright. The first one I saw in the shop, I went to a shop. Did I go to a shop specifically to buy one? I can't remember. But I saw it and I was like, that's amazing. It's so bright. And then you offered me one. I was like, no, I've already got one. Cheers. And I came down and saw it. And I was like, wow, it's twice as bright as the one that I already thought was really bright. And now they're next to each other. The other one's like, So you've ruined the other one. It's the other one now. I'm exaggerating slightly, but it's like HD and non HD versions. And the one I got from you is really nice. You can't see actually, but
the funny thing is, I don't sell anemones, so we're like, I'm getting like a really big anemone plug.
Why not?
I just don't. I've got them. They just multiply in that box, but I don't. Remember, if I'm they're not the sort of thing that sits on a plug, are they? So if I'm shipping them to someone, I'm gonna have to like try and scrape it off the tray and then put it into a bag and then put it in the post. And I don't want the hassle. And then while it's in the post, it's then attached to the plastic bag so that people can't get it out. So for me, it's not really one of the things. If you want to collect them, then by all means, it's not too bad. But
so this is the worst plug for you because I'm bigging up something that you can't buy. But it's really nice.
Yeah.
And it's wedged itself in, and they both now the one I first bought and the one I bought from you have both been in the exact same place for at least a week now. And in fact, the one I got from you didn't ever move. I put it there, it wedged itself in, and it just stayed still so far. It's been a week, Ryan. So
legendary coral farm, some would say.
Give it time. But yeah, it's really nice, and I can't wait for it to get bigger. Because actually, with that tank now, I'm just going to let it grow out. I don't think I need any more corals. And if that becomes an anemone tank, cool. I'm happy with that. So I just can't wait till it gets big enough for the clownfish to be like, ooh, Scooby-Doo. Which might never happen, but
it's unlikely they'll do it. Most of the time they don't. I don't even know why. Well, because sometimes they'll have an anemone and then they'll have a coral and they'll be like living in the coral. And I'm like, you're not doing this right.
Yeah, mine just kind of actually unusually mine just swim around generally in the water column. They normally find like an overflow or a powerhead or something, don't they? But I'm hoping that will happen at some point. But enough bigging up the UK's #1 coral selling website. I'm now going to move on to a coral I bought from Signature Frags, which I don't have a photo of. Well, I have got a photo of, but so let me see if I can show you that. You can't really see it that well.
Is that Sophastria?
No, it's an acro.
It's hard to see. I thought it was a rainbow Sophastria, but
you can't really see it. It's a Jason Fox flame. Well, I say Jason Fox flame.
Can't you just Google a picture?
Oh God, Jason! Just
come on,
Jason.
We've got time. We both know we haven't got a lot to talk about tonight.
I got loads to talk about.
Oh.
The thing is, I'm googling a picture, but mine looks nicer. If I'm honest, this is one of those corals that when I've bought a few from Signature Frags before, and sometimes his water quality is better than mine. I got a lot of phosphate, and most of them actually they stick with it. But I've had a couple that are like they get in my tank and they're like, "What the hell is this?" They're fine for a week or two, and then they just lose some of their colours. But this one has stuck with its colours, and it looks so nice. I'll bring up a photo of the one online, but mine looks much nicer than this. In fact, as you know, that's a pretty good representation. This is just, that's a very good representation. In fact, the tip of one of those is what mine looks like. And it's really nice. So that is one of my favorite ones I bought this year. And it's just a really, that's the only acro on the list. It was expensive, but it was worth it. It's a lovely coral. And it's kept its color, even in my crappy water.
There you go.
So there's foxflame, gonies, just generally gonioporas was the next one I was going to talk about.
I like gonies.
I've become obsessed with gonies, and I've found, and it's not even like any one goni in particular. I've just got a few, and they're just all awesome. I just love them, and it's not that difficult to find. Well, so I bought one the other day that was 250 quid. I mentioned this last.
Oh, that was that Amazeballs one, wasn't it?
That's the one, yeah. It's a really nice coral, but it's not worth 250 quid. And when you put it, every other goni I've bought, I'm pretty sure has been less than 100 quid. And if you put them next to each other, if you did a blind test and I didn't tell you what they were called, I bet the Amazeballs wouldn't come out on top. Like if I had 10 gonies, it would come out like 5th or something.
Yeah,
because it's not worth that money, but it kind of is worth that money because it's unique. It's a color I don't have. It's really nice, but I've got loads of gonies that I found. I bought some from you. I bought some from Signature Frags, some from my local fish shop, Reef Keeper Moss End, some from the classified section in Ultimate Reef. They're all awesome. They're so nice.
They're pretty easy to frag as well. Like for me anyway, I ever saw. So and they have a very high survival rate, I've noticed as well. Like they're one of the highest with regards to me fragging them. They like so if I'm going to frag like a bounce mushroom or frag a gonny, I'm more likely to kill the bounce mushroom than I am to kill the gonny.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. 100%. Yeah, they're
Hmm.
actually pretty like you can frag them quite small. It's funny because I've seen
Yeah.
them where they're like 2 bullets. And you're like, what is the point? Like,
Do you know, I find they grow quite quickly.
they do, and they
Yeah.
heal quite quickly as well.
And
But
that was actually, I got one from you the other day that I gave to you. It was the glitter gonny,
Oh,
glitter
yeah,
bomb
yeah.
gonny.
Yes.
I originally gave that to you because I had it in my
Yes.
tank. I was like, I'm not that bothered about it. And then
Yeah.
I changed my mind because I saw it in your farm. I was like, actually, that's really nice.
Yeah. Does it still look just as nice back now it's back with you?
Oh yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice. This is but the thing that the reason I'm mentioning that one is because you had loads of frags of it. And I
Yeah.
probably gave that to you a year ago and it had grown, must have
Yeah.
grown a lot in that space.
I think I got like 15, 20 frags from it, I reckon. Yeah, because some of them had gone already. Even before you saw them, some of them had gone already. So it would have been well funny if you obviously gave it to me a year ago and then I sold it back to you. I didn't sell it back to you, just to clarify for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're at the stage where we sort of just give each other stuff now, aren't we?
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, gonnies I've had some awesome gonnies and I love them. Next on my list was chalices. And this is, I'm not really rounding it down as much, but this is one chalice I got from a local hobbyist. This is a watermelon chalice, correct. And I also bought one called a pink boobies chalice. Like, was that named by a 7-year-old boy or something, pink boobies chalice? But anyway, it looks similar to this, but different enough. And it cost me 170 quid because I had to buy it twice.
I'm currently Googling pink boobies. So
don't Google pink boobies.
I'm definitely Googling pink boobies.
I'm just going to interrupt because Reef Keeper had an 1100S.
Oh God, not again.
Ducati Hypermotard, which was the old air-cooled. That is either a Monster 1100S or a Hypermotard 1100S. It would be, oh man, it's such a nice bike. Anyway, chalice.
I'm going to go back to my pink boobies now.
Yeah. Pink boobies chalice, for God's sake. It's a really nice, but I had to buy it twice because I found one online. Yeah. And I was like, I'm having it. And it was 80 quid plus postage. And then when it arrived at my house, it had shipped perfectly, put it in the tank, looked great. The next day, it had started stripping.
Okay.
And I was like, it was just like a little patch on it. And I was like, I wonder if I dropped something on it or, I wonder what. And then a few days later, it completely stripped.
Yeah.
And that's when I started thinking, what about salinity?
Yes, that was what I was wondering.
And it was salinity.
Yeah.
So it had a shock. How's your water box getting on with salinity?
I actually don't know at the moment because I broke my hydrometer.
Because this is off the back of the Hannah pen, right? The Hannah Slitty pen.
Yes. So obviously so you came to my house with this device from Hannah and told me, this is what I've realized. You cannot trust salinity readings with any device, basically, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you can use a refractometer, a Hannah pen, that whatever is that that's like a
hydrometer, the bobbing hydrometer. Oh, this is a digital refractometer.
A digital refractometer, a hydrometer. They'll come up with different results.
Yeah.
At this point, you might as well put your finger in, taste it, and see try and guess how salty it is. Because when you came the other day, you measured it and they were out. It was out, wasn't it? And it was a surprise. As that it was that far out. And I have lowered the salinity now. But I'm lowering it based on that hydrometer. So is that right? Apparently, it shouldn't be wrong.
Yeah, in theory, at 25 degrees as well.
Yeah, and it is at 25 degrees, and it was brand new. And I literally got to use it, I think, 3 times, and then I broke it because it's quite delicate, isn't it?
Very delicate.
But I obviously sent you a message. You understand how I broke it, don't you?
Did you break the thin bit, the thin tip?
Yeah. So I have a valve that like a tap. And it was in the cylinder, And obviously, as you fill the cylinder with water, it starts to float.
rises,
So
yeah.
it moved up into the valve. And then when I went to turn the valve to stop the water coming out,
Oh, I
it then
see.
snapped off
It got
the.
snapped in the valve. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Now I
And
understand.
all I heard was this. And I was like,
Yeah.
uh-oh. So when I said to you, it wasn't really my fault.
It
And
was your fault.
you went, it was your fault. No, not really.
I stand by that comment.
No.
But they are fragile.
Who could have possibly foreseen that a device which is supposed to float in water would float when I filled the container with water?
Yeah, fair point. I take it all back.
Yeah.
But this is the trouble, so this is actually the Hana digital refractometer.
Yeah.
Made my list of my top 5 favorite purchases this year.
But you don't know. You don't know if it's right.
That's the thing. It was 350 quid, which is crazy money. And a couple of people posted in the comments to say, I've got the Milwaukee one that cost me 150 quid. What's the difference between the two? And my honest answer is, I've got no idea. I'm assuming that I'm not just being ripped off. Exactly. And it's not just a 200 quid paint job. And I'm assuming that it is that there's the Hana one has got better internals, more sophisticated, because that's such a huge price difference. There's no way it's the same.
Yeah.
But I might just be being ripped off for all I know. But anyway, but what I did say in the video, this is one of my favorite pieces of equipment. I did say, look, I've only had it a couple of weeks. So what I'm really saying is, if it's the same in a year's time as it is today, I will absolutely love it. But I who knows? And salinity is like, what do I trust?
I'm going to buy, I've decided, a new hydrometer every week.
Yeah.
Perfectly calibrated new hydrometer every single week. That's how I'll get perfect results and no profit.
Buy like 300 of them and get a discount, 10% off.
Yeah. No, I even that, is it correct? I was told by the person who sold it to me that in theory it can't not be correct, providing it's been. That was why I was like, that was why I was putting it in RO water, because I was like, rinsing it off. I was like making sure it stays perfectly calibrated.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't know, but yeah, interesting. And yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that, but corals.
The thing I did find, just very quick, the thing I did find interesting is that my parameters were all reading as perfect, but the salinity was high. So when I lowered the salinity, all my parameters were no longer perfect.
Interesting. So that means that you were testing accurately for alkalinity, calcium, and all that lot.
Yeah.
It's just the only thing that you weren't was salinity, which is the most important thing.
But salinity is, as you just said, it's the most important thing. That's the one you need to make sure you have correct, because otherwise all the other ones technically aren't. But this is correct.
Everybody knows that, and like people like you and me say that all the time, and you hear it all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
But if your salinity measuring device isn't right, and you've got no reason to believe that's the case, how the hell do you know? Until you find out, and then suddenly when you find out, you're like, oh my god. Because my tank is the water box is so much better now. The salinity is now since I've been using the Hana digital refractometer.
It's interesting because it can run for a long period of time with high salinity, and things can survive, but not do. And then other things don't do overly well. And you're like, is there a metal in the tank? Do I need an ICP test?
Yeah.
It's like,
have I got my lights too strong? Is it got too much flow?
The obvious thing is the thing that you don't consider it being that thing, because you're getting a reading saying it's right.
But because of my experience lately as well, anytime someone posts on the Facebook group saying, I've had a coral die, what do you think the problem is? And they post their parameters. All I want to do is say, how are you measuring salinity?
Yeah.
When was the last time you calibrated it? What device is it? And I would go to the extent now that if you were to ask me a question about that, I would not give you any other answer. Like if you said, my Monties are suffering, could it be Monties in nudibranchs? I wouldn't give you any answer until I'd spent half an hour talking to you about salinity and making sure that's right. Making absolutely sure.
Yeah.
Because I've had this bad experience. And that's why. So one thing I was going to say about gunnies, I find gunnies actually relatively easy to keep now, but a few of them are still sold. I've still had a couple that have not been happy, it's probably because of salinity. And that chalice, the pink boobies chalice, was everything else was fine because it was getting, it got used to salinity going up and up and up slowly, slowly, slowly.
Yeah.
But then when you put a chalice in that comes from a shop where it's at normal salinity, and then suddenly you expose it to like my 100% salt water, it's like,
David in the comment section just asked how much salinity were we out with the reading. It was like 1.028 and it was meant to be 1.026, wasn't it?
Yeah, I do it in parts per thousand, but I think it was similar. I think it was about three or four parts per thousand.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
But that was with a newly calibrated solution, just opened, and it had been calibrated, then put straight into the tank, and it was. Now look, I swear by these things. I've been telling people to buy them because I thought this is the only way to get an absolutely accurate result because it's being calibrated while you're using it with a solution that you know is correct. Why it doesn't work, I don't know.
That's the thing, and it's the kind of calibration solution. I can't remember what it's called. Is it Natis? There's an American organization. Tell me in the chat if you know. I think it's called Natis, and they're a government organization that produce things that you calibrate against.
Yes,
and the Hannah salinity calibration is produced by Natis, so you know it's reliable. It's not just some dickhead, on his first day in a lab.
And Hannah,
Hannah,
you can't be annoyed that I've said this on a live stream because we compared your pen to your digital refractometer,
and that's the thing. So the only thing, like I'm tempted to make a video about that Hannah salinity pen because I bet it's. I've seen so many people say, I had the same issue now that I think it's worth broadcasting wider. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop recommending Hannah. And the fact that I went out and replaced it with an even more expensive Hannah piece of equipment tells you everything you need to know. Because Hannah is an enormous company, and saltwater aquariums is a very, very, very small part of what it does. So it's wicked that we have a company that size in there. But if it's crap, if that pen is crap, it's crap.
For some reason, I trust that giant hydrometer. I trust that more. What did you say? Sorry,
densimeter.
Is that what it is? I don't know.
I call it a densimeter because if you call it a hydrometer, people think you're talking about the swing hydrometer, and it's better to clarify. I think anyway.
I'm pretty sure it's called a high range hydrometer on the actual packaging. I like the fact that you can literally see like pinpoint exactly because I know you have to look to the side of it, and I know it's open to interpretation. But when I saw how wide the gap is between 1.026 and 1.027, it's massive, which means it doesn't matter if you see it. You got to see it wildly wrong to not be able to judge between a centimeter.
Well, that's what I don't like about the standard optical refractometers, not the digital one that I've got, the standard 30-40 quid ones. I find it really difficult to see the graph. Even when you get it in focus and in the right amount of light, I still find it really hard. And I've got good eyesight, but I just can't read it properly.
Good eyesight when it's not obviously differentiating different colors, yeah?
Yeah, obviously. But this is what we're talking about, the Tropic Marine high precision hydrometer. It's a big bobbin. It's about 2 feet tall. It's like
this.
It's massive. Yeah. It's quite heavy as well. But this is, I think, the trouble with that is it's calibrated at 25 degrees. And when you put a Hannah salinity pen in, as the temperature, as it corrects the temperature, guess what? You can see the reading change. So actually, if you were testing your temperature and it was 24 degrees using that Tropic Marine hydrometer, does that mean that you're not getting an accurate reading? I think probably yes. How much, I don't know. But that's one good reason to keep tank temperature at 25 degrees.
Well, that's what I do. So it's fine for me. It's a little bit of a faff compared to.
It is a massive faff.
No, it's not. You literally dip the cylinder in the tank, get 400 mils out, and then you drop it in. It's more of a faff than having to put a pen in. But it didn't take. And then it goes up and down for a while, doesn't it? It's just bobbing.
But the thing is, because the thing with it is, the reason it's a faff is for a start, if you're putting the tube, the volumetric cylinder that you put into,
it's massive.
It's big, and so you've got to take your lid off. You can't just put it in the sump, and then you splash everywhere. and you've got to clean up the splash, and then you get splash on your glass and all that, and then you've got to let it settle, and then you put your hydrometer in and all that. So it is this is like people will be sitting at home now going, Alex, you're an idiot. That is not a hassle.
That is not a hassle, yeah.
But it's just especially when you've got 4 bastard tanks.
Plus, you couldn't do it with your little one, could you? It would take half the water out.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's so it's not as convenient as any of the other methods.
Yeah.
But it's, in theory, from what I understand, it's the best, the most reliable way of.
Then I literally don't care. I've already ordered another one. If it's accurate, that's all, and it won't change. Like, and you cannot lose calibration. I do not care about that little bit of extra faff. No.
Yeah, exactly, and it's simple, and you've got to rinse it apparently, because I don't know how much difference it would make if you had a couple of spots of salt on it, but whatever, just rinse it. Rinsing it's not that difficult.
Just don't rinse it under the valve that the water comes out of.
No,
because then you break the top off.
I'm amazed I didn't snap mine actually, but when I first bought one of these a couple of years ago, I didn't like it. I turned off all the flow off, and I just put it in the tank.
Yeah.
And it gave me this crazy reading. I was like, that's bollocks.
Yeah.
But you've got to just decant some water into the cylinder and then do it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Although in hindsight, maybe it was giving me a correct reading.
True.
I was dismissing it. I was like, I've just calibrated my cylinder pen.
Yeah.
Stupid hydrometer. But yeah, interesting. But this is. I think we should talk about salinity every week for 2 hours.
just until people start listening. Just so you know, everyone who's listening, there'll be many of you, more than you can probably imagine, that your salinity is nowhere near what you think it is. So if you're having a problem with your tank, before you get an ICP test done, which costs 50 quid, buy one of those hydrometers.
Yeah.
Because then at least you know for sure that it's not salinity.
Absolutely. Someone has a salinity fetish. I do. Anyway. Corals. I was doing my top 8 corals. Maize coral. So this where is it?
They're like this is the first one you've come up with. I've gone, no, not. So
this, you can see it's on that 3D printed dome I talked about that you said.
That's even worse.
You don't like that. No. When that grows over that'll look awesome. But it's a basic coral, and that's like a 20 quid in your local fish shop coral.
Yeah.
But I think when they're grown out, the pattern just looks and the colours look amazing. I love that. It's what I like. I've never had one before, and that's one of my favorites of the year. You don't?
Yeah, but you're trying to compete that with a Goni or one of my amazing bubble tips. So not really in the same category as far as I'm concerned.
It's still up there, but okay, I'll take that challenge. So I can take that criticism, and I'll move on to another one that is actually really nice. Oh, have I got a photo of it? I'm sure I did have. Yeah.
I bet there's no torches on this list.
No, there aren't any torches. And I was actually, if I made the video, I was going to mention torches because I do have 3 really nice torches in the cave just here. This one in particular that you can see is lovely. It's a Holy Grail. It's really nice. But I hate torches. I don't know. Well, I love them because I think they look awesome. But I find them so finicky. Like with my Gonnies, I have a couple that are sulking and didn't enjoy the salinity issues. But the ones that are looking healthy are looking just so healthy. You'd never, they're amazing. Whereas with torches, it's rare for me to have torches that are looking really healthy. There's almost always something wrong with them. And if they're looking really healthy, 2 months' time, they'll be pissed off again. And it just doesn't matter.
They're like a Royal Grammar. I think people think that they're beginner coral, but they're not.
Well, so I made a video called corals that you think are beginner friendly, but actually aren't. Or it was more catchy than that. And torches were on that list. And before I made that, I was like, I'm just going to check to make sure the internet does say torches are beginner corals. Yeah. And the internet does.
Yes,
but
I know.
There's no way they are.
My first LPS coral ever, I think it was either a frog spawn. So my first 3 corals were 2 frog spawns and LPS corals and a torch. So I can't remember exactly what order they were in. So maybe it was the 3rd one. But yeah, that it was sold to me as a beginner coral. My very, 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 very first coral was sold to me as star polyps, and it was a Gorgonian, which I now know.
Totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, next one on my list, Space Invader Pectinia.
Yeah,
and this was from Signature Frags, and that is I've not turned the brightness up on that photo.
Yeah,
it is that bright.
Yeah, they are.
And I
That's
can
right. Yeah.
see it just like it's a slow grower.
Yeah.
Well, they're not mega slow, but it's a lovely, and it was expensive. I think it would cost me 175 quid for a frag, small frag. But I'd seen it loads of times before on Signature Frag's website, and
Yeah.
I'd always been like, I can't do it. I don't regret it for a second. It's so nice. It's well
Yeah.
worth the money. And I've probably bought 10 other frags for 20 quid that are all crap that I don't like, that are the
Yeah.
same price as that one that I do like. It's so
Yeah.
if you've ever looked at that on their website, on the Signature Frags website, and thought it's too expensive, treat yourself. It's so nice. And that bright yellow, oh, it's amazing.
Corals are only ever a bad investment if you kill them.
Yeah.
It's true. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
kill them, then spend the money.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if you do kill them, then don't spend the money.
But that's why I've become more confident in the last couple of years with spending more money on frags. I don't mind spending 200 quid on a coral now. Well,
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I don't mind. Whereas a few years ago, 5 years ago, there's no way I would have done, because I'd have been terrified of killing it.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm more confident that I won't. And it's not. It's more. Before it was like the unknown. It's not like I thought I was going to kill it. It's like I had no idea. Like I'd never would have bought a trackie before, because I'd have been like, oh, maybe they're difficult. Maybe they've got things I don't know about. And now trackie is on my list. Next
Nice.
coral.
Okay, see that I like trackies.
You do. So I was never that bothered about trackies, but you got me into them, and I like them.
They're one of my favorite corals, I'd say. In fact, if not, I would probably
really?
say they are my favorite. Yeah.
They're definitely one of the favorites that I bought this year, but I wouldn't go as far as to say they're my favorite.
Okay. So you've only had one not so good one so far.
What was the one you didn't like? The maze.
Yeah.
So the last one on my list, and this we've had 7 so far, is 8. God's sake, Blastos. Was this a Prestige Reef Blasto? I don't think it was. No,
I've had those in, but I don't know if it's one.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Where's the other one? I've got another Blasto on this photo list. Hang on. There it is. This was a Prestige Reef Blasto.
I was going to say I've had that one as well. So
That's really nice.
yeah.
It's like a deep blue center.
Yeah. They. I can't remember what they like Black Widow, I think, or something like that. They were called.
Sounds familiar. It was quite expensive, but anyway, that Blastos. I was never bothered about Blastos, and I bought 3 this year, and they're really nice, and they're quite easy. Well, I say they're quite easy. It didn't die in my salinity.
I think BRS keeps saying about that they like to be kept in like a lower flow, I think is what they're saying.
Really?
On there.
Low light, I know.
Oh, low light, yeah, low light, low flow on on a wall somewhere, I think is what they were saying they like.
You want it like pitch black, basically. Tidal Gardens always says like 1 par, maybe 2. And I do have one in the Cade. I've got one Blasto that's struggling a bit, and I wonder if it's getting too much light.
You can move it into a cave, see if it makes any better.
I can't be asked, if I'm completely honest. It's not getting that strong a par.
Oh, it's so hard to like just move something that will probably take 20 seconds.
But it's the trouble is it's puttied in place.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So you've got to then wedge it, and it's on a small rock, so I'll end up accidentally wedging the rock up in the air.
I know exactly what you mean. You just point out, just point at my Zoa tray next time I say anything stupid like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But those were that was my top 8 corals, which I've taken 45 minutes to talk through. But they're really nice. Some really nice corals this year. All right, so that means that, oh my god, we've only just finished talking about our week in reefing, an hour and 23 minutes in.
Yeah, we've got no topic today, so it's fine.
But we've got member questions.
Oh, okay.
There's still some stuff to do, and there were a few member questions.
Look,
so
we weren't even meant to be here today, which means people are getting an extra one, as far as I'm concerned.
This is true. All right, there were some good member questions here as well. James says, what's your biggest reefing regret of 2023 and your biggest hope or goal for next year?
Good question.
And how I like that. Philosophical.
Okay, my biggest reefing regret was obviously the angelfish that died in the water box. That was definitely would be my biggest regret. Because that sort of started like a snowball effect with regards to my disdain for that tank. If I'm honest, that's true. I don't have the motivation with it because it's not doing what I want it to do at the moment. And I just think, I've said this before, anyone who's in this situation, if they just started, it would be just horrific. They spent thousands on having this tank and it's not doing what they want it to do. and they can't really quite work out why, because diatoms are simple. You just need to know where what's fueling them, and at the moment I can't work out exactly what that is. So, but if someone who doesn't know that about diatoms, that it's even more complicated. If you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So that would be, and that snowball effect where the angels died was what because before that everything was fine. So that's my biggest regret. And what was the second question?
Goal, biggest hope for next year.
I actually would like to start taking the farm more seriously. This is what I would like to do. For example, I have loads of zoas in there that just aren't fragged. I could be selling them if I had fragged them. So, but it's not, doesn't come down to lack of time. It comes down to lack of motivation, and also a little bit because zoas made me sick once. So it's true. Look, trust me.
Yeah.
Like, I bet when you first got back on your motorbike, or even now, you're probably not the same as you were before you had.
I'm fine now, but the first couple of times I was more tentative. Yeah, for sure.
So it's not genuinely. It's not a lack of time. It's a lack of motivation. I want to try to go right. This is serious. Like, let's stop seeing how much money. Like, let's try to actively try and make as much money as possible from it, rather than just see what money comes in. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Because this is your career. So I was actually thinking about this today with regard to you, actually.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you've got a massive unfair advantage over all of your competition.
Whoa. We don't start mentioning these sorts of things on live stream.
And when I say unfair advantage, I mean
my handsome good looks is what you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah. And that's in a good way, but I don't think you exploit it as much as you could do.
I don't. I definitely do not exploit as much as I could literally do a video on a Wednesday, which takes me a minute to film. I know YouTube analytics won't like it, because obviously people won't watch it, but I'll just go, literally, this is what I've got in stock this week. If you want to watch the video, great. And if you don't, and it might be the same stuff after a couple of weeks. But
so I was thinking, actually, what you should do, and I actually spent a bit of time thinking about this, because that's how much of a YouTube dork I am. But I was thinking, you should. What I would like to see from you, Ryan. So if you can write this down, please.
Oh God, where's this going?
Once a month, I'm don't actually write it down.
Once a month, yeah.
Literally writing it down.
Once a month, where's this going? Yeah.
Make a video once a month, but because I was thinking, if you committed to making a video, even every week or once a month, whatever, once a fortnight, whatever, if you did that, and you just make the same video every week and say, I've just got these corals in, this is the coral I've got. That'd be great at first, but people would get bored of it. So you're going to need to do something. And if it was once a month, you could make a video that you go into the farm and you're like, today I'm going to tell you about something that I've noticed, or something that I found that was interesting, or something that I've learned, or an interesting tidbit that I thought I'd share with you, like the Hannah Saline or whatever. Just some useful advice. And then, like, whilst I'm here, kind of an organic, whilst I'm here, by the way, look, I got these corals in as well this week. They're really nice. And I fragged these ones, which I hadn't fragged before, and intersperse that. So it's not like you're not ramming it down people's throat and like going, I know, buy my corals, but like just like natural. And do that once a month.
Yeah, and look, I agree. I think one of the things I actually did want to say, and I was going to say at the end of the live stream, I was going to say it now because it's relevant. I actually wanted to thank all the people that have supported me throughout this. So the turnover was 15% more, roughly 15% more this year than it was last year. And this would have been a very, very difficult financial year for people. So the fact that I've done 15% better is surprising. Even for me, it was surprising. I wanted to just say thank you to everyone that basically allows me to live the life I want to live. I have the best life ever. I get to play with these corals all day, if you think about it. But I can only do that by the people that support me. They're the people that book the consultations, the people that come and collect the corals, and the people that buy it online. So, as I said, I was going to say this at the end, but you've basically just mentioned it, so I thought I'd just say it. And you are right. There is definitely more that I could be doing, and that's my plan for next year. Basically, I've got these amazing blue zoas. They're like properly blue. You hardly ever get blue zoas, and I've got like 200 of them on a thing. If I frag those up, they would fly out.
Do it.
So
and make a video about it.
But if you think about it, those zoas are sitting there there was a cost attached to them for me. So at the moment, that money that I spent is tied up in those corals. But because I am a hobbyist first, I just like looking at them.
Well,
That's
this is the context of why I was thinking about this.
yeah,
Is I was thinking, what would if I could have a job in reef keeping, what would it be? And if I'm completely honest, whilst I think what you're doing is amazing, I wouldn't want a coral farm.
yeah.
What I would like ideally is the reef builder studio.
Okay, yeah.
So just growing a load of corals and talking about it from time to time, and that is like the dream. But that's not realistic. But that's what, and I started thinking, well, what I just started thinking about you and all that sort of stuff. But
You're thinking about me when I'm not there, are you?
Yeah, always.
Creepy.
I know, I know. My biggest reefing regret. I mean, I don't know if it's a regret that my copper band died, but I'm going to go with that. And biggest hope for the year, my water box. I want that to be grown out, and I think by the end of next year, I think that tank is going to be like a showcase tank.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Unless I shut it down,
which might happen.
Next question is from Lycia Reese. Lycia Reese, I think. What's the best thing for gluing TMC rock work together, or gluing frags to it while the rock is already underwater? I've tried putty and super glue, and my corals always end up falling off. Onto the sandbed and get buried by my pair of randy clownfish. So, P.S. Merry Christmas, both. What's the best thing for gluing TMC rock together? Gluing frag. I'm going to answer. So gluing it together. You can get coral cement. Is it? What's it called? Aquaforest make a cement. So if it's
Nios do one as well, I think.
Yeah, there you go. There's loads, I bet. You can, and you have to mix it. It goes off quite quickly, but it sets rock solid. So if you're making an aquascape when it's dry, that is what I would use. If it's fixing it in place when it's in a tank, it's a pain in the arse. And the trouble with putty is sets really hard, but it just slides off. So you can think you've wedged it in place, and then it'll just drop off. And super glue is fantastic, but it forms a ball underneath the water. So it doesn't set. So what I do is I try to, and I've now, my rockscape has got frag plug holes in it, and that's the best answer, is when it's dry, drill holes in it. But anyway, what I do when I don't have that advantage is I find a rock surface that I want to put a frag on. I squidge a bit of putty onto it. I get a frag plug, and I press the putty into a flat surface, and then I put a bit of super glue on the bottom of the frag. Actually, what I tend to do is I cut the peg off the frag plug, put super glue on the underside of that, and then I squish that into the putty, and I hold it in place underwater for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's got to be as long as that, because if you hold it for 10 seconds, it'll fall off. And if you squish it around and like rotate the frag plug, it pierces the bubble.
You have to break the seal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it does work, but even then, like half the time that doesn't work. It's a pain in the ass. How do you do it?
With regards to securing rock work, I've always used BRS super glue. I think is unbelievable. It's like you can't get things off with that once it's like properly put together. With regards to like sticking frags on, I use super glue again, but what I'll try and do is I'll try to get a little ball of it, like where it's sealed, and then put that into the rock, into where I want it to, like squish it in, and then put the coral into the super glue, which then obviously breaks the seal and it seals it.
I think that's
you have to have a specific hole for that to work.
Yeah, but it's a pain, and if that works better if it's a flat surface, because if it's at an angle, then you've got gravity pulling it down. It's even more difficult, but it's difficult. But that's what we do. Lycia Reese. 2 more questions. Not a question. All right, it's not a question. But an update. Oh yeah, this was bad news, I'm afraid. This was I Like Weird Fishes. An update from my question last week. The tang had velvet, and all of my irrational fears of tangs were apparently correct. So we had velvet. I don't know what actually happened, but I would guess if he had velvet, that means all of his fish
all
died.
dead. Yeah.
Was it velvet you had?
No. It was. I believe it was Brooke.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the literally the skin of some of the fish basically was just like melting off, and that is a Brooke thing.
Right. Okay. But velvet is basically the worst thing. Worst disease.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the velvet kills the quickest. Sometimes you don't even know the fish got anything wrong with them.
Yeah.
When they die.
Is my understanding. I've never had it, fortunately, but it's like 24 hours and it's gone. So thanks for the update. Sorry to hear that. Push button Reef. Final question. What are you hoping to get for Christmas for your tanks?
Well, no, I haven't. I don't think I'll get a single Christmas present this year. In fact, the only Christmas present I got was from you. It was at Acro.
Okay.
As I said, my whole family's in Australia at the moment, so I'm literally here on my own. So I'm not doing Christmas. So so I don't have anything. So what is the answer to your question? If anyone wants to get me a present, you won't get one back though.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to get anything for the tank for Christmas, but I don't know. I don't think, excuse me, I don't think there's anything. I don't think I would buy myself anything for Christmas. Maybe I bought the Amazeballs Gonny for Christmas. That's nice.
What I can tell you is that Mrs. Reef Dork has not bought you any gift cards.
No, from
you will not be getting any Prestige Reef gift cards from Mrs. Reef Dork.
Yeah. Let me have a look and see if that Amazeballs got. There was one left. Is it still available? It's still available. You can go on eBay, search Amazeballs Gonny.
I'm gonna just wait for you to get bored of it and then give it to me, and then I'll grow it and then give you a piece back.
That's the thing. I won't. I'll anyway. It's one of those corals that when in a year's time, when it's been like in a few people have had it and they've grown out and they've sold it, the price will come down a bit because 250 is crazy. I'm not sad that I paid that. Yeah. But anyway, that's probably why it hasn't gone. What was I going to say? So that was member questions, Facebook stuff. There was the one thing we posted earlier, but there was one other question I wanted to bring up today. This was from Bradley Parker, and he says, "What temperature do people run their tanks at?" And this got massive engagement. Everyone bloody loved it. And it's funny how I answered it as well. It's funny how temperature seems to be like a big deal. And actually, really, there was one person who I looked at all of them and I was like, fine, except for one person who said 29 degrees.
Okay, that person might have been trolling.
Yeah, maybe he's keeping discus. But 29 degrees, you're boiling your corals and you're.
Do you keep discus at 29 degrees? That seems very warm.
30 degrees. I'm sure you keep discus at. Anyway.
They're a freshwater fish, aren't they?
Discus, yeah.
Which are normally cooler.
82 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. 82 Fahrenheit.
I don't know what that is.
In, let's see. 27. What did I say? 82 to 86.
Yeah.
82 to 86. So it's between 28, in fact, and 30.
Wow. I learned something. I did not know that discus was meant to be that high.
Yeah. And you can, so I think you can't keep them with many other fish because most other fish don't like that. I think cardinal, what the tetras, not neon tetras, they look like cardinal fish. Anyway, whatever. What do I know about freshwater? But
about as much as you know about saltwater.
Exactly. But there were two outliers. One said 29, one person said 27.5.
Yeah.
And 27.5 for me, that's on the ragged edge of what is when my tank gets up to that temperature in the summer, when we have a heat wave, I worry.
Yes, yeah.
But apart from that, basically everybody said the lowest was 23 and the highest was 26, and anything apart from those two outliers. But and most
low as well.
23 is a little bit low. If it's LPS, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Was it 23? I'm sure that was. Oh no, I can't see it.
You would think that there would just be a standard temperature that everyone has them set to, wouldn't you?
It was 24.3. Sorry, I misread that. You would, but ultimately, everybody, with the exception of two, were 24, 25, or 26.
Yeah.
And really, that was one of the things I obsessed about. That probably in the first couple of years of the hobby, I read so much about. And if you keep it high temperature, you get quicker growth because it's higher energy and all this. And it's like, will you? Yeah, maybe if you're doing other things as well. And it's like,
correct.
Is it going to be so much of a difference that you're going to come down the next day and go, wow, that's doubled in size? Or realistically, will it be 1% difference and you won't even notice?
Yeah.
So, but the simple answer is 25 is fine.
What you will notice is the difference in your electricity bill if you run it at a lower temperature.
Well, that's one of the my LPS tanks at 24 degrees.
Yeah.
The reason I started, the complete reason they're LPS, so they come from cooler temperatures in the wild. So in theory, you should run them cooler. But the main reason I started running my my water box at 24 degrees, sorry, 1 degree less, was because I bought a Scully, and there are loads of people who say Scullies like cooler
They
temperatures.
do need, they do need.
And 24 is the max. So that's the main reason I started running that at 24. But shaving a degree off will save you money on your electricity bill.
Yeah.
Whether it's again significant.
I always ran at 26 for years and years. I ran at 26. And it's now 25 now.
Yeah, my main tank is 25. Yeah,
to match my hydrometer.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a benefit of running your tank at 25 degrees.
Yeah,
because all refractometers, or the good ones anyway, are calibrated at 25 degrees, so it's not having to do any work, and the hydrometer is 25 as well. So there you go. And that was the only thing I wanted to put up from the Facebook group, apart from something I mentioned earlier. And that means, we've got Fish of the Week and Coral of the Week. Ryan, hour and 40 minutes, and we haven't got a headline topic. How have we talked for an hour and 40 minutes today?
Don't know.
I
was pretty hyperactive at the beginning for some reason.
I know. We've done the Fish of the Week already. It was a mustard tang.
True.
What's the Coral of the Week?
Oh, Acanthophilia, and you're going to talk about it. Oh, you already got it up. There you go.
Yeah, so Acanthophilia.
You like these corals?
I really like. You don't see them. You don't get them in the UK really, and you see them very, very occasionally. But we can't. And I think we can't import them. So if you see one, it's usually from a hobbyist.
Yeah.
So they're unusual, but
they're expensive. That's why I don't like them.
The last time I remember seeing one was Reef Dreams when it was in Winchester, which was years ago.
Yeah.
And it was years before that even, and it was like 1,200 quid or something. But I just think they're cool. And actually, my mate Polo's Reef has got an awesome one, like more colours.
More than one.
He probably has, but one in particular that's just it's amazing. But that is the Prestige Reef Fish.
That was quick.
No. Well, we've got news to get through.
Don't play the jingle. We haven't got time.
Yeah, true. News. There's a little bit of news as well. So there is a new edition of Fish Keeping Saltwater Aquarium magazine. Oh god, I'm smashing stuff up. Ultramarine out. Is this one?
Nice.
It's a quarterly magazine. I've got a subscription. How much is it? £4.15. So the subscription isn't that much. I think was it 16 quid for a year? It's pretty cheap. And there's a new one out, and there are 2 articles in this. I've actually scanned through it. Most of it I don't want to read, but there's an article at the end about
money well spent.
Lanthanum chloride. There's normally something in there. I don't read it cover to cover, but there's normally a couple of things in there. Lanthanum chloride. There's a 4 or 5 page article, which is really useful.
That probably would be interesting.
Even more interesting, there's a 4 or 5 page article on salinity.
Oh, now you're talking.
Exactly. So I've put that to one side, and I'm going to read both of those articles. But it's going to take it's not just like a 5-minute read. But so first thing is that there's a new edition of Ultramarine out. If you didn't know, there was a magazine in the UK. There is. Next up, this was the only thing on the Reef Builders website that made the news today. There has been, and it's slim pickings. There has been a breakthrough. And I think they're playing fast and loose with the term breakthrough, these scientists, with cryopreservation. So scientists for years have been trying to freeze coral sperm. The theory being then you have a bank of coral jizz, and then if the world goes to shit, when the world goes to shit,
bank of coral jizz, when the world goes to shit. Okay, where's this going? What are you doing with this bank of coral jizz?
I'm just going to spaff it back into the barrier reef, basically. And there's been a breakthrough, and so apparently it's very difficult to freeze coral gametes. I use the correct term. And when you thaw them out, that's difficult. And they've made a breakthrough. Actually, funnily, the antifreeze that they're using is this funny mix, and it targets nanoparticles of gold to heat them up, as well as a high-powered frickin' laser beam. But basically they found that it works with stylophora.
Probably the coral that will be able to survive the apocalypse.
Exactly.
So it's like the one that is not worth doing.
Yeah,
is the one they've done.
exactly. But if they've worked that out, then 10 years time they'll have worked out
All of them,
the
yeah.
most tricky. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Do you
that's
think
cool.
they'll have them labeled with like burning banana stylos?
Yeah. Oh, imagine. I'd love that. Yeah. Yeah. Pink boobies chalice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next on the news is Aqua H. So
Yeah.
this isn't really in the news as such, but this I've just noticed Aqua H is posting more on
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram lately, so they're kind of ramping it up a little bit.
It does.
And I
Building
can't,
momentum.
yeah, completely. And I feel, because I think that we don't get coral shows in the UK, I feel like I should be promoting it and talking about it as well. I've got no financial interest to do so,
Yeah.
but I feel like we should talk about it. And there's a list of exhibitors that they've announced, quite a few actually.
Yeah.
And the main ones that stood out for me were Tropic TMC,
Yeah.
who have got an absolute ton of space.
Oh,
Exodus
did it show you what booths they're having then?
does. Yeah, so TMC one here,
Yeah.
i6, i7, i8, i9, j6, j7, j8, j9. So
That
they've
is
got
a
8.
lot.
I can't remember how big these spaces were, but they've got 8 spaces. The other ones on there, Lynx Aquatics, so there's a fish shop.
Yeah.
AAC, so there's another fish shop. And people on the Facebook group were saying, is there livestock? If there isn't, then I'm not bothered. Now I don't know if AAC and Lynx Aquatics will be taking livestock.
Then I don't know about them. I don't think you're allowed to sell fish. I think you can sell coral, but you can't sell fish there.
That's a license thing, right?
Yes.
I think you need a pet license to sell.
Correct. And they won't have a pet shop license at that place. So you can't.
But there might be AAC and Lynx Aquatics might be bringing, in the unlikely event that either of those shops watch this stream, post in the comments and tell us if you're bringing livestock.
I'd be very surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make money from bringing corals, aren't you?
Well, I just think because you have to pay for a booth, and so is everyone just going to have the same dry goods? It wouldn't, especially if like Red Sea and things like going to be there. It doesn't make sense.
Red Sea are going to be there, as are Exodus, which is the UK distributor for and
Nios.
Someone else as well. Nios. They do. I think they do a couple others. Anyway, the other ones that stood out. So TMC have got loads. Shez Art. Have you heard of Shez Art?
Yeah, that's the lady who does. I think is that the lady who's deaf? I think.
Oh, she's deaf.
I think so, and she does. Like she might not be deaf. I might have just made that up. There is definitely a lady who is deaf who does the UV painting, and I think that's her.
So she does UV painting,
yes.
And this is an example thereof. This is her Instagram, which is shesart_reef. But yeah,
I really liked one of her pictures the other day. She's one of bannerfish. That's what it was. She put. I actually got it up on my phone. There you go.
Bannerfish.
Not banner.
Oh, that's not
bannerfish. Sorry, not bannerfish. Yeah. I really liked that. I was like, see, that picture doesn't do it justice. Go back one, and you can see the detail on it. No.
Hang on. Oh no. This one.
No, it's not. How come I've got a different one to you? I know. Is that? Don't know. Sorry, it's the second one. It's just under different light.
That's cool. Oh, actually, that's cool.
Yeah, I did. I did like this.
But anyway, so this is. I was actually these booths are relatively expensive, and when I'd seen this before, I thought this was something that she just does on the side. But it looks to me like maybe she's ramping up, but it's a big deal. So if you want artwork, reefing artwork, like my Scully, which I got from some guy in Poland, Shez Art is a good place to look. But she's going to be there, which will be cool. This is a nice one actually. Last one I'll show you. Bugatti chalice. Is that a Bugatti chalice?
It looks like a rainbow one of some
rainbow
sort.
chalice. She's called it. Yeah. Anyway, so she'll be there, which is cool because they're what was the word you used? Not infrared. UV. Yeah. They glow under UV lights.
Do you know what I love about this?
What's that?
That is someone who is doing something they love and turning into a business, which is what I've done. So anyone who can do that, I don't know how. She may have another full job, a full-time job, but anyone that can turn what they love into a business, absolutely go for it if you can.
And if you're passionate about something, you're more likely to be good at it.
Yeah, true.
But other companies, so Red Sea, Exodus, and there are a couple of others. Oh, Aquaprint. looks worth a look
Yeah.
as well.
Polyp Pros are going as well. They're the people who built the coral farm for me. They actually said, because they also make tanks, and they said, would I mind supplying corals for their tanks, their display tank? So my corals may end up being there after all.
There you go. So their tanks, they're acrylic, so I wouldn't want them, but they look really smart. And
They
if you
are
can put
smart
up
tanks,
with they're frag tanks, but if you can put up with acrylic,
yeah,
and if it's a frag tank, you're not going to be using an algae scraper on it all the time, I guess.
yeah.
They look really nice.
They do quite well selling them, I think, and I think they sell them all over the world.
Oh,
I
cool.
think they do quite well.
Out of stock.
But
cool. They're really nice. Yeah, so
they said to me, have a stand next to us, and I'm like, hell no, I'm going to go be famous for the day.
Yeah, I wish you'd go. But there you go. No, you're going with your camera, not with your corals.
Don't care. Do not care. It's, as I said, I'll either have a very enjoyable day or a very stressful day, and I'd rather have a very enjoyable day.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But anyway, Aqua H, so it's the 6th and 7th of April, I think it's April, early April this year. Anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
next year, sorry, 2024. Building up steam. I'll be going. Ryan will be going.
Yeah.
So if you want to meet us and say hello, come along.
Very quick, because I know you're trying to move on. If you're thinking about going, buy your tickets now. And the reason I'm saying that is because you need to show your support for this. Too many of these shows have been cancelled because of like a lack of interest. So if you're thinking about it, buy them now.
I haven't bought my tickets yet. So I'm going to do that after this live stream.
There you go. So
in fact, I'm going to buy, it's 6th and 7th of April. I'm going to buy both days. I might not go both days, but it's 12 quid for a day. No way.
I'm planning to be there both days.
Weekend pass 19 quid. That is.
I can understand why people wouldn't necessarily want to be there both days, but for people like us, I think it's worth going both days because both days will be enjoyable.
Yeah, this is true. And 12 quid for a day's entertainment.
To spend time with like-minded fish weirdos, that's a bargain. I'm sure Macna's like 60.
Yeah.
And you have to go to America.
Yeah. So there you go. That could be awesome. I'm going to purchase my tickets immediately afterwards. So cool. Thank you.
You saw mine too.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I'm not sorting yours. You can sort your own.
Yeah.
next.
Just add 4 rather than 2. No, don't add 2 rather than 1.
Do you know what? So I've been trying to persuade you to buy an iPhone, and I said I was going to buy an iPhone for you the other day.
Yeah.
So I'll do that if I'll do both. It's either both or none.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought so.
I'll consider it.
Anyway, next piece of news is bulk Kalkwasser. So I bought some Kalkwasser this week because my 2.5 kilo bucket had run out. Basically, it lasted almost a year and a half, and it costs 20 quid. And I bought the same stuff from the same. I went, when you go into eBay and you scroll down what you bought before and you say buy again. I did that, and the picture said 98%. And then when it arrived, the picture on the bucket said 95%. And it turns out actually I hadn't read the description properly, and the title on the eBay listing said 95%. And I looked at that and I was like, oh, that's weird. So I checked. This is a picture of my old bucket and my new bucket.
Yeah.
And my first reaction was, and it actually says greater than 95%. I was like, maybe that's just semantics. That doesn't matter. But then a few people, Telegram in particular, posted, they were like, that's probably they found a different supplier who's cheaper.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's a good point.
He's a legend, isn't he?
He is a legend. So I sent it back. And I bought this stuff, which is probably the same company because it's a very similar label, but it's a different website, sourcechemicals.com.
Yeah.
And it's 98%. So they're back to 98%. I asked APC about it. I messaged them on eBay. They replied. They didn't really give me a straight answer, but they said that this changed in November of last year. Yeah. So it might be that Source Chemicals have still got their last batch and they'll run out soon. But they said it changed in November of last year, and I said, but what's actually changed though? It's 98 to 95%. What's changed?
Yeah.
And the reply just came back and said, yeah, it's changed. I was like, yeah, but what? But anyway, and I replied and I was like, look, I've got quite a lot of corals at stake here, a lot of money worth in corals. Yeah. I said I've got like 10 grand's worth of corals, which is probably an understatement. So this matters. Can you tell me, please?
Yeah.
And I didn't get a reply because Christmas. So, but anyway, I've sent it back and I bought 98%. But if you buy APC hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, calquasa, have a look at sourcechemicals.com instead, because it's higher purity.
That's what you get for not coming back to him. He'll advertise your competitor for you.
Will burn you to the ground. APC is an enormous company. But anyway, but yeah. Oh, I've got a hidden comment on. Oh, that's funny. Amazon. I just noticed on that post, Instagram said you've got a hidden comment, and normally if that's the case, it's something outrageous, but it's just some guy saying, "Oh, I found this on Amazon. I'll send you the link." So Instagram deemed that to be worthy of hiding. Anyway, final piece of news, and I don't know if I made a note of the website. This is people often talk about if you buy a par meter, you don't really want to buy a par meter because you use it once and then that's it, and they're quite expensive. And there's a company called, and I'm just getting up, parmeterhire.co.uk. The setup. He's a hobbyist. And he started hiring par meter. He uses the ITC, what's it called? Parwise, the Parwise thing, which does spectrum as well as par. And it's 35 quid for 5 days, which is more than enough, or 10 days for 55 quid. Deposits apply as well, because otherwise people would just steal it.
Well, what is the deposit? That's what I want to know.
FAQ. Let's see if it actually says. How does the deposit system work?
So I just Googled it. They're £220 for the actual to buy it brand new.
10 quid? No.
£10?
I thought he was going to say 200 quid.
That's what I mean.
That's crazy. 10 quid will be added to, and then you get it refunded. That's crazy. That's very good. I thought that was
basically, if you want to buy one from him for £56 and change your email address.
Yeah, but I'd like to think people won't do that. But no, that's maybe he's worked out. Do you know what? If 1 in 20 people do that, I get my 200 quid back. But anyway, whatever. I hope people don't do that. I think most people don't do that.
I've got a par meter, and I'm very, very dubious at even lending it to people I know, because I just not because they're the sort of thing you use and then they'll put somewhere and then you won't get it back.
Send it back, mate. Yeah, and then you can't be asked. I think I was expecting that to be 100 quid, because it's like when you hire a car, you give your credit card over and they put 500 quid on it, and they take that 500 quid off the next day.
Yeah.
But I would expect that. But anyway, whatever. That's good for customers. So 35 quid to hiring a par meter. That might be the best 35 quid you've spent. And that's one of the things I've learned from this Reef Casa tank. I thought I had an outbreak of diatoms after like a week. So I backed off my lights and it went away. And I realized, I looked back afterwards at the footage and I was like, I think that was Dino's, because my lights were quite high. And if I was going to set up another tank today, I would set my lights really low, which is what they are now, and I would, over the course of 2 or 3 months, build them up. I wouldn't go high straight off as day one, and you will know that if you've got a par meter, and you can now hire one from parmeterhire.co.uk.
There you go.
And that is the news. Oh,
wait a minute! I just realised if you're going to do it over several days, like several months, you might as well buy one, because if you're spending £35 a time. You just ignored what I said.
No, because I wanted to do the jingle. But no, but 35. But the thing is, you'd have to use that 8 times. For it to be better off having bought the par meter. And my par meter, I've got it on a stick because it's convenient to use a stick to put it in the tank. And it just takes up space. So I think that's good, and I hope that website does well.
There you go.
And that is the end of we've got to the usual 1 hour and 58. Thank God we didn't have a headline topic.
Yeah, but we sort of rambled on because we knew. You gave me free reign to say whatever I wanted.
I like the freedom. I was thinking about changing the format for this. And tell me, guys, if you think this is a good idea or a bad idea. So there isn't a headline topic. The headline topic will be something that's in the news, for example.
Yeah.
And
we basically don't want to have to put the effort in to think of a headline topic each week.
It's not, well, you say we.
Okay, Alex doesn't want to.
But it's not even that. It's just I like what I find is I like the freedom of when we just chat.
Yeah.
because I want this to be, and like, I want this to be, you're down the pub with your mates talking about fish.
True.
So, but anyway, whatever. We will have a think about it. Oh, someone says 185 quid deposit.
That's what I saw. Yeah, that seems more logical.
I would expect it to be that, because you get it back anyway, so there's no problem.
Yeah.
But if it's 10 quid, great. Surely it's 100 anyway. Whatever. Someone says, "How's the Fluval?" Ask the person who bought it off me.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's the I transferred it over to the Cade about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And James enjoys the ramble. So there you go. There's one person, Ryan. 151 people watching.
That's a survey of one.
One,
so
yeah, one.
What we want now.
All right, ban Abhishek. Is someone? Oh, no, he's just.
No.
Oh, no. He's
People
just,
are too harsh to ban things, people, because they wrote "move out of the way" from the pictures.
I think that's bans. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up because it's Christmas Eve and we can all now go and
we're
talk
feeling
about
well
this.
jolly. So
indeed, but thank you all for joining, everybody, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We might be back next week. I might decide late on. I might text you and see if you're up for it, but probably not. We might have a week off. In which case,
I like talking to you, so I'll probably be here.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Right.
Bye.
See you later.